Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Bariatrics and Tips. I am Michelle Geeson, your hostess with the Moses. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're new to our show, welcome. I so hope that you enjoy our time together. I look forward to it every single week, and when there are times that we have to postpone our broadcast, it's really sad for me because it is so much fun. So thank you for being here. You know, one thing we all have in common is that we've all had weight loss surgery, or we're gearing up to have weight loss surgery. And there are exceptions to it, but if you're just one who's looking for overall wellness or even trying to live and eat a healthy lifestyle due to diabetes or any other diagnosis, you are still in the right place, okay? Just because we're given a bariatric tool or a diagnosis doesn't mean we have to be deprived of eating well and living well. You know, I say it all the time, food is such a huge part of our lives, whether we like it or not, and we have to learn to coexist with it. I'll tell you, I just noticed how big of an issue food is just in everyday scenarios, like going back to work. I was working at home for 15 months because of COVID, and recently in the last 6 weeks we've gone back to a hybrid model where we're working in the office and outside of the office, and we've already had one potluck so far. We also have people that like to bring in treats, which is so great because it's just so nice to be able to all come together with food, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence for people like us who have either a health stipulation or this bariatric tool. Again, we need to learn how to coexist with it, okay? And the main thing, my biggest takeaway from my own bariatric journey is once I removed the word deprived from my vocabulary, I realized that I almost felt liberated. You know, you are told all the time, you can't have this, you can't have that. I mean, think back to your own children, or even when you were a child or younger and someone told you that you couldn't have something. Kind of made you want it a little bit more, didn't it? I know for me, I am a type A classic control freak, and we probably all have those kind of tendencies, maybe some more than others, but for me, once I decided that I wasn't going to be deprived and I was going to stay in control and make my own conscious choices of what I wanted to put in my body and how I wanted my overall bariatric journey to be, I felt as free as a bird, okay? There's no reason you should ever have to feel deprived of anything. Life before or after bariatric surgery or another diagnosis isn't meant to be spent wishing that we could have this or that. We can have fun with food. It's fun to be in the kitchen. Being in the kitchen and being at the grocery store, it should be an adventure, just like life, okay? You're on your own journey. The kitchen is a main attraction. The grocery store is a main attraction. Restaurants are main attractions, okay? And really, I just want to help you realize that you don't have to fear that. You can embrace it. It's very empowering and inspiring to make a dish that you have either never made before or something that your family just loves so much that they all inhale it or smile when you make it. And you can do that. You can remake the recipes that you see out and about and slim them down. I have dedicated myself and our group page and this Facebook Live demonstration to doing just that, okay? It's fun to experiment. This is our second chance at life to live our life to the fullest. And I am 6 years out of my own bariatric journey. I had gastric bypass surgery April 22nd, 2015. And that is my rebirth day, and that is the day that I dedicated myself to living my best life and creating my best lifestyle, okay? I view myself that way, and I hope you can view your own journey that way. I've lost 130 pounds. I've kept it off this whole time. I've worked hard. It wasn't a quick fix. Anyone who tells you that is completely delusional. It's not a quick fix. It still requires work and a brain retrain and oath to yourself to live life to the fullest and not cheat yourself. You know, I have been through the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I don't have regrets. I just have insight, okay? I make my share of mistakes. I'm only human. But now I know how to isolate bad behaviors before they spiral out of control. And that's what I am trying to do as I move forward with bariatrics and tips. So I've dedicated myself to showing you ways, tips and tricks, and recipes and demonstrations to show and prove to you that you can live large while eat and cooking small, and you can find flavor in everything that you do, okay? It's so worth the time and the effort. I know I'm worth the time and the effort, and I know you are too, okay? So we have a lot of exciting things to talk about on our bariatrics and tips page, but more to the point here today on Facebook Live. Today's subject is Mongolian beef, and before I go any further, I know we normally have the Sunday Spotlight today. I don't have any one person to feature this time around. The story that I requested from someone didn't appear in time, and I'm still waiting for a message back from her, so I apologize. But I do want to give a couple of shout outs. I want to shout out to Colette as she prepares for her bypass revision surgery. She is really excited, maybe a little nervous, but she went through her pre-op this past week and she's gearing up and ready to go. So I wanted to give a shout out to her to wish her the best of luck. I also want to give a shout out to Veronica, who has been so wonderful and so sweet in giving me praise and feedback from my recipes and my suggestions and my demonstrations. I appreciate it. She's tried a lot of recipes, and she always messages me when she serves something to her family to talk about what a hit it is. And so I wanted to thank you so much, Veronica, for doing that. You make me feel so special, and I'm so grateful for your feedback. Veronica's become a really good friend, and even though we haven't met in person, we've got the privilege of being in our local support group together, and I can't wait for the time to meet her because we are truly kindred spirits. I know that we're kindred spirits. I look forward to a really nice friendship with her, and hopefully one time soon she will actually consent to coming on to Bariatrics and Tips with me to help me show you how to prepare one of our favorite recipes, okay? So shout outs for those two gals. I know I've seen a lot of feedback from others on the Bariatrics and Tips page, and even messages to me where they're gearing up for surgery and their surgery has been pushed back for whatever scenario, some pertaining to COVID. I'm not sure. Just please keep the faith and don't despair. Things are going to happen. They are always going to work out. I am a firm believer in that, okay? So with that being said, we're going to move forward with our show. We are going to make Mongolian beef today, and I'm actually going to prepare this for you on camera. So I will, this is what I was trying to practice for, but you really can't do a dry run when I'm serving as the chef du jour as well as the camera person. So I'm going to ask that you bear with me as I move the camera around, just to maximize your visual ability as I do things. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about our Mongolian beef. It is one of my family's favorite recipes. Now, my family isn't as open to cauliflower rice as well as I am. So I'm going to preface this by saying when I make this meal for them, I am making them regular white rice, but I'm serving mine with cauliflower rice. And it is so delicious. And I'm going to show you that today too. But really that's the only thing that I do different. That's the only thing that I do in addition when I'm serving my family this meal. We are actually going to have this tonight for dinner because it's just that good. You have to buy shaved steak. And if you are shopping locally here where I am, like at Meijer's in West Michigan or any of the surrounding states that have Meijer, shaved steak is kind of like a delicacy. It's right in the meat section at the meat counter. and they have it shrink wrapped in a little plastic tray. And sometimes when I see that they have it, I buy 3 or 4 packages of them because they go fast. And this morning when I went to Meijer, they had 1 package left. And so I'm using that today. I'm really excited about it. I do have one in the freezer. If you want to see it, I will show it to you. Shaved steak is just so wonderful. And I will come around and show it to you because you really, there, can you see it? Melissa, can you see it? Hi, Meredith. Meredith, can you see it? This is shaved steak, and it's frozen, of course, but they sell it right at the meat counter. And it's about a pound. I think it costs $6 or $7. It's amazing. It's nice and thin, like paper thin, and it's super good, and it's perfect for this recipe. So that is the shaved steak. Pardon me while I put it back in the freezer. Again, it's one of the things that I covet. I love it so much. I can't eat a lot of it as a bariatric patient just because it makes me full so fast. But again, what I make up for on my plate, my husband and my son deal with it. So it all works out. So you're gonna need shaved steak. You're gonna need sesame oil. You're gonna need fresh ginger, minced garlic. I use low sodium soy sauce. I also use, the recipe calls for brown sugar, and I do use Splenda brown sugar. That is my choice. If you want to use regular brown sugar, you can, but I know for me, the higher the sugar content, the more I am prone to the dumping syndrome for my gastric bypass surgery. So I choose to use the Splenda brown sugar. You're gonna use, my original recipe called for cornstarch. And over the years, I've adapted it to my bariatric lifestyle. And so now I use a mixture of cornstarch and naked casein protein powder. The reason why I choose the naked casein instead of Gene Pro is because the casein powder, it has the texture, it's like a cross between white flour and cornstarch. It feels very cornstarchy. And because it's treated a little bit like flour, it's a nice little thickening agent. And so I don't like to completely do away with the cornstarch concept because calorie-wise, I don't think it affects me too much. So I just do an even mix. So if the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, I use a tablespoon each of the cornstarch and the casein protein powder. And it works really well for me. So hopefully you like that too. And then I'm gonna use up to 6 scallions trimmed and sliced thin. You're gonna use this mostly for garnish and color at the end. Scallions are delicious. I love any onion, so I'm okay with that. But really, even if you don't like onion, sprinkle a few on there just for the aesthetic value because it'll look beautiful. And then sesame seeds for garnish as well. And then you can serve it with rice or cauliflower rice, however you prefer. I actually was gonna serve it with cauliflower rice and bean sprouts tonight, but Meijer had no bean sprouts today. So I actually have dry mung sprouts that I could make my own bean sprouts, but it takes like 5 days, so too little, too late. Sorry about that. But for all intended purposes, I am gonna serve it with the cauliflower rice today. So that is our ingredients list. Pretty simple, not anything too exotic. If you don't have casein protein powder in your bariatric arsenal, I strongly recommend it. It's just a nice protein to have, as is the Gene Pro. So I'm gonna put that back since we don't need that anymore because I've already done that part. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat in a saucepan, we're gonna heat 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. And if you're not familiar with sesame oil, I've got some right here that I can show you. Toasted sesame oil is so wonderful. I actually buy it in a big gallon jug, and then this is just my working supply, and it works really good. It smells delicious. It smells like sesame. It's great. It's a great thing. And when I do my Asian cooking, this is what I'm predominantly using. So we've got our sesame oil. We're gonna put our 2 teaspoons of sesame oil and some finely minced garlic and some ginger in a saucepan, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this on right now because we need to get the pan really hot. And as I'm doing this, I am going to move the camera, and this is where I ask for your patience, okay? It's gonna be fun. We're gonna go on a field trip. Here we go. So, hello, I am moving you right now. All right, we are moving and grooving, and now you get the tour de kitchen, okay? There's me, yes. And I practiced this before, and I'm positioning it such that you should be able to see the stove and me. All right, does it look all right, Melissa? Does it look all right? Say yes. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna wait. Okay, I'm not gonna wait anymore. I'm just gonna assume that it looks great. So I've got the oil heating with the garlic and the ginger. Now, thanks, Ashley, I appreciate it. One best practice that I wanna talk about where we're talking with fresh ginger, I actually keep my fresh ginger in the freezer. And I can actually, the camera's gonna move a little because you're right by, but I can show you my fresh ginger. It's in the Ziploc bag. And all I do is take like a grater, a microplane grater, and I grate what I need and then I put it back. And it's super fresh and it stays nice because if you keep it in the refrigerator, it's probably gonna get moldy if you don't use it in the appropriate amount of time, okay? Back in the freezer you go, ginger. I swear, if I tell someone that I keep ginger in the freezer, they're probably gonna call the police. But anyways, all right. So I've got this moving and grooving, and the recipe states to cook it for about 30 seconds and then add the soy sauce and the brown sugar. So I've got the brown sugar already melted in the soy sauce, and I'm going to add it, and you're gonna hear lots of good sound effects. All right. Now, what I did before with the shaved steak, before we are even on camera, is in a bowl, you're gonna take the casein protein powder and the cornstarch, and you're gonna toss it into the shaved steak, and that's where the cornstarch resides. So when this meets the sauce, you're gonna, it's gonna help thicken it, and that's a really good thing to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir this up a little bit, see how that's going. And you just want it to get a little bit glazy. And I think I can probably show you how I achieve that. Again, this camera stuff is not my forte, but at least I can show you. I'm gonna tip and show. It's like the bend and snap from Elle Woods. It's the tip and show. All right, so you can see how it's kind of getting a little glazy. And once this gets a little bit more glazy, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna put it in a bowl and set it aside, and then I'm gonna start on the beef. And then they're gonna come back and they're gonna meet each other, and it's gonna be love at first sight, okay? Goodness gracious. It's like a comedy hour too. Okay. So I think this is looking pretty glazy, wouldn't you agree? And so I'm gonna put this back in where it needs to be. And now I'm gonna work on the meat. Now I've got the juices of what was in there before, and now I'm gonna put my steak on there, and I wanna get everything completely as thin as I can in one layer. And you can use your spoon, or you can use tongs, and you just want to make sure that you use the most surface area that you can. And I'll do the lean and look, or whatever I just called it before, in just a second. How did I forget that already? But you want it to get nice and warm, and you want to cook it as well as you can. I'm going to get another spoon too. So I'm going to lean and show right now. So you can see that I'm using as much surface area as I can, because you want to get the bottom of it nice and crispy brown. All right, So we've got that for now. Now while that's trying to get brown, what I want to show you is the cauliflower part, since we are going to wait for this, and rather than just twirl our thumbs and stuff, I thought I would talk about the cauliflower. So I'm going to kind of switch gears and talk about the cauliflower. I bought a regular package of cauliflower rice at Meijer. It's only a couple bucks. And what you want to do is you want to steam it in the microwave in a microwave-safe bowl, which is what I did. I had it in this bowl. I cooked it for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and I did this to just kind of get the moisture ready to be drained. And then what I did was I let it sit on a piece of paper towel. And hopefully you can see this, but I'm going to bring the camera again and show you. So here, another field trip. All right. So now you can see, oh my, sorry you guys, told you this is not my forte. All right, so that's the cauliflower, and you can see the paper towel, you can see where the moisture, like if I bring this back, this is all wet. You want the cauliflower to be as dry as it can, okay? And then once you do that, you're gonna pat the top, pat it dry. And this looks really good. I mean, this is a good rule of thumb for a lot of things when you're cooking with cauliflower rice, even pizza crusts. So I'm gonna bring you back over here. Whoops, sorry, jet lag, all right, hello again. And so now I'm gonna put my cauliflower back in the bowl now that I've taken as much moisture out of it as I can. And then all you need is some Asian seasoning. And the Asian seasoning that I have is Pampered Chef. You can use whatever Asian seasoning you can. And I believe if you stay tuned at 5 o'clock, I have a bonus recipe where you can make your own Asian seasoning. But I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon of my seasoning. And if you want to use more, you can use more. The rules are just for what you want to use it for, okay? And then you're just going to toss it into your cauliflower. And I'm going to keep moving around with this steak too. It's getting a little steamy in here. The good thing about the steak is that if you find that if it's getting a little too crispy or whatnot, you can add a little bit of broth to it too. And there's a good chance that I might do that. Maybe I'll just do it right now. I just always like to have broth on hand. I just put a splash in there just to keep it moving. And that actually helped tremendously. That's a best practice for me. The recipe doesn't call for the broth, but sometimes it just makes sense to add it when you need. And this is almost ready. So back to the cauliflower rice. I also like to put a sprinkle of salt and pepper in it. Again, it's salt and pepper to taste, but it does taste really good with that sprinkle of sea salt in there. The Asian seasoning is really good. This particular one that I have, I'm really fond of. It makes it, it's not overpowering. It doesn't have a lot of ginger. It's just all around a good flavor. So now you can see the cauliflower rice. And this is what you're gonna serve the beef on. And it's amazing. And it took no time at all and relatively inexpensive. All right, so back to our Mongolian beef. It's looking pretty good. It's looking a little on the crispy side, which is what you want. I do see that my pan is a little burned, and that's actually a good thing because you can deglaze the pan with a little bit more broth. And if you don't want to use the broth, you can use the soy sauce concoction that we're about to make is going to help deglaze that even more, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. All right, so now you want to make sure that when you're doing the beef that you don't crowd the pan. And that was one of the reasons why I spread everything out, because again, we're talking surface area. I just wanted to make sure I said that. And now we're going to fold in the ingredients of the glazy sauce that we made right at the beginning. And I'll bring you closer here in just a second so you can see that. And you just want to mix it so that all the meat is properly coated. gosh, you guys, this looks so good. So good. I'm gonna reduce the heat a little bit because it's actually thickening up. Super nice. I'll bring it in, all right? We're gonna lean and look. How's that? Isn't that amazing? It looks so good. It's getting nice and thick. And you can see little crispy bits, which is what you want to see in typical Mongolian beef. This goes over super well. All right. So I'm going to bring you back. Hello again. And it just, the recipe just says to stir for just a few more minutes until you think it's ready. I like to work my spoon against the bottom to get up all the stuff that might have been sticking to it, because that's going to add to the flavor. And again, we want to make sure that we're cooking full flavor, and that way we don't feel deprived of anything, okay? And you guys, I'm seeing a lot of you on Facebook right now that are watching that I haven't seen before. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining. Tanya and Cheryl, I saw. I appreciate you being here today. All right, I can see that I'm working the pan pretty well. And I can show you. Let me show you again. I'm gonna lean and show again, okay? So can you see? I kind of worked the pan, and I'm using this wooden spoon. I always like to use the wooden spoon when I'm cooking Asian. I don't know, I just read it somewhere. But I'm getting the pan kind of deglazed as well, because all that flavor, you don't want to wash that flavor away in the sink. You want to eat that flavor. Flavor is what makes you not feel deprived. And I flat out refuse to feel deprived. All right, I also want to turn our attention to the dog, Lego. This is Lego, and he wants Mongolian beef more than anything in the world, don't you? Tell us. Oh, he's doing his Marcel Marceau impersonation. All right, there, hello, I'm back. All right, so now let's serve this bad boy up, okay? We are ready. The last thing that we're gonna do is we are going to add our green onion, and I cut them ahead of time. Thanks, Melissa. It does look yummy, doesn't it? Put my green onion on, and I'm going to sprinkle some sesame seeds. You can get sesame seeds in the Asian section in this big, huge shaker can, and you don't have to worry about, like, if you get it in the spice aisle, you're going to pay a lot more money for a lot less, okay? So I'm just going to sprinkle, and now I'm going to lean you in one last time, and I'm going to show you the finished product. Woo, there we go. Told you, camera's not my forte. All right, how does that look, everyone? So let's put it on the plate. I've got it turned off. I am going to put it on, I'm going to put it in a bowl, because that's what I found. I'm going to serve up my cauliflower rice. Now, remember, I don't use a whole lot. I don't need a huge meal, and I'm not quite sure what you guys use as size portion for your meal, but this is gonna work perfectly for me, okay? So I'm gonna show you. But I lost a little bit of my color, so now I'm going to put a little bit more green onion, because I love green onion, and I'm gonna sprinkle some more sesame seeds. And now I'm gonna show you my dinner for tonight. Hold on. I don't know why this, okay, what do you think? There's our Mongolian beef. It is to die for. I am going to show you, let me get a fork real quick. This is really some fancy schmancy camera work today. So if I get nominated for some sort of an award, like an, I don't know, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar for camera, I'd like to thank you all. But at any rate, here is Mongolian beef at its best without feeling deprived at all. It's super good, you guys. The flavor is rich and savory. It's almost like a gravy that you taste. It is so full flavor, delicious. And I think that the seasoning on the cauliflower rice is just enough to like awaken your taste buds, but it doesn't overpower the Mongolian beef. It's really, really good. And I really want to encourage you to try it. Now, rather than me show you how I eat the whole thing on camera, I just want to challenge you. If you make any of the recipes that I share with you, please post a picture to our Bariatrics and Tips Facebook page. I really want to see how you guys are doing, how you're challenging yourself, and know that you are finding flavor in everything that you do, okay? Please note we are on all social media forms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, goodness gracious, Twitter. We're on all of them. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel too. It is Bariatrics and Tips, and this will be reposted there as well. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in today and for really humoring me as I move the camera from here to here to here. But I really thought it was the best way to make sure that you got to see everything. Again, post your pictures, post your best tips and tricks. You're gonna have recipes today that start at 3 o'clock. You're gonna have Mongolian beef at 3 o'clock. You're gonna have the seasoned cauliflower rice at 4, and then you're gonna have 2 bonus recipes that I will not say anything about right now. I just wanna surprise you. You'll have a nice tricks and tip, fun fact at 8 o'clock, and then tomorrow we'll start all over again, okay? Make sure that you share this page with everyone. I appreciate it. We want our viewership and our likes and follows to grow because Bariatrics and Tips is a very, very special community. We are all here for each other. We are here to grow and learn and expand our horizons without judgment or bullying. And I am so proud of the community that we've built, and I'm so grateful that you're a part of it, okay? So thank you so much. Have a great Sunday. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next week for yet another episode of Bariatrics and Tips Facebook Live recipe demonstration, okay? See you later. Bye.